Welcome to another Zen pop-up. So what I want to talk about today is a kind of multi-part Zen pop-up. So the first part is going to be important because we want to look at image sizes. Now a lot of people have got low quality images and their images are not looking good in the site. So I'm going to try and unveil, without getting too techy with it, any of it, is try and give you some certain sizes that you should always have in your head, whether it be for video, whether it be for images on your website. It really doesn't matter because the whole thing just applies, you know. So images, right? Okay, so if we've got a page that's say that big, okay, and I have an image that's that big and I want it to fill the page, obviously there's going to be problems because as soon as I stretch that image, it's going to become really blurry. And this is what happens. It's called pixelation. Images on your screen are made up of pixels, px, and that's why you'll see inside Google it says dot, it'll say px after it. It's a pixel dimension. So a pixel dimension on your monitor. So if you have a low resolution small monitor that's say that big and you have an image that's that big, okay, on a bigger image, obviously that image is going to stay in that pixel width, but it's going to be so much smaller because the monitor is bigger. So you need to bear that in mind. So it might stretch that image if you had it full screen and then it would go blurry. So this is a common problem that happens, and we can sort of make that happen. I'm going to show you in Page how we can kind of make that happen with something like a Canva template, and then I can give you some sizes that work. Now what we're doing here, as I said just before, what we're talking about here applies to video as well. It applies to any media that's shown on a monitor, okay, a monitor device. Now don't get the two muddled up. We're not talking about centimeters, you know, millimeters, inches. We're talking pixel sizes. It's the pixel on the screen. Okay, it's a different size. So you might have like 200 pixels and looks about that big, and then you think, oh, okay, that's on my screen, that looks like 2 centimeters, or that looks like an inch, or you know, 20 millimeters or something. And you might think, well, I'll send that to the printers and print that printed out because that'll be okay. No, it won't. It'll be really small because it factors in the resolution of it. So when we're talking about things for print, we're talking about things different than we're doing for here, okay? So I'm not, like I said, I'm not going to get too complicated with this because there's a lot more to these things than meets, and you don't really need to know a lot of that if you're just starting off. You just want a nice crisp image on your website and you just want your images to look sharp. That's the only thing we care about. So with that in mind, let's jump into the screen share, and you can see I've got this page up here. Now I ran these pages out showing you how to do these kind of blocks in a previous Zen pop-up. Remember, we have the link below to the YouTube playlist to look at all of the Zen pop-ups that come on. They're labeled quite clearly so you can jump in and just find the information. Normally these videos do not run more than half an hour depending on subjects, or some of them are like 5 minutes. So this image looks really sharp, and the reason it's really sharp is because it's been done at a set size. It's been done at 1920 by 1080, okay? So 1920 by 1080 is an aspect ratio of 16 by 9, okay? So that is basically the ratio of the width to height, okay, 16 by 9. That's how it's worked out. Again, you can forget that. 1920 by 1080 pixels is what we're looking at. And you know that if you use that size, you'll be able to use that in your course cards. You'll be able to use it for background images in your site. You can also reduce it down. So that's another thing as well. If we take a really small image and we enlarge it, remember it goes pixelated, it goes blurry. We never want to go take a smaller image and make it bigger. Never do not do that. We want to be taking a bigger image. It doesn't matter how big the image is. It could be 6,000, could be 12,000 pixels width, and you're reducing it down to 300 pixels. Absolutely fine. That's perfect. you know, but we don't want to go the other way. We don't want to go to a 300 pixel image and then blow that up to 12,000. It will not look good. Unless you're going for that effect, of course. But we don't want to do that. So I'm screen sharing at the moment. So I'm going to jump into Canva and we're just going to create a really, really small design. I'm going to choose a custom size here. And I'm going to choose a size of 200 by 200. Let's make this, actually, let's make the height. Let's make the height 100 and make this 300, okay? So it's not going to be that big. And I want to prove a point here. This is all I'm trying to do. So create the design, so 300 by 100. So it opens up. Oh, look at that. That's great. Look at the size of that image. That looks amazing. I can put that straight in my website. It's going to look great. No, it's in Canva, and we're using Canva because that's the program that most of you guys are using to create some image stuff. I generally would be using Illustrator, Adobe Illustrator, or Adobe Photoshop. Okay, there's a big difference between using that and a basic thing like Canva. But Canva can do really great things. You can get some really good looking stuff and it's good for you guys. But this size is not the actual size. We go down here, this has been zoomed in 434%. If I was to set this at the size it is, which is roughly 100 there, that's the actual size on this monitor. Okay, so that's the actual size. But of course Canva is great because you can zoom in, but it also confuses people because they'll look at it when it opens up and they'll go, oh, that's good, that's a nice big image, when they don't actually realize that down the bottom it's actually only that big. So if they're going to use that for their full screen, you can guess what I'm going to say, it's going to be a mess. So let's take some graphics just to preview, because graphics is going to be a good one to do this with. I'm going to take this little ball and we'll stick that in there. That's actually a pro image, so I've got the Canva watermark on it, but really doesn't matter. Let's go into some text and just add some text in here. So I'm going to go, does this look good? And right, okay, and I'll just take this and move it up, make it a bit bigger. You go, right, okay, so let's put that in there. I've used text in an image. I wouldn't normally use text in an image. I always put my own text in, like here. This is live text, just because different sizes, if you scale it down on something like a mobile, it's going to become really small, whereas this will be responsively go down in size. So that's why we try to use what's called live text inside there. So generally I would just be outputting this background. So this is how it looks, and you're like, right, okay, look at that, super, that's super. And you go down to there and you find out that's the actual size. So we're going to output it out, and I'm going to go to share, and I'm going to go down to download, and we're just going to download this as a JPEG. Now, something to talk about a JPEG just quickly is inside here, the quality. If you reduce the quality down inside here, this will actually, I've got to upgrade for that. This will actually make the image look less quality. It will kind of reduce the file size and it will pixelate the image. So I generally go for a size of, it's got it in there default at 80 with this free account, but I normally go for a size of like 70 quality, so it keeps the image quite small. Why would you want to keep the image small? The more images you have on the page, the more they mount up in the amount of file size that they take up. So for instance, if you had 4 images and each image was 10 megabytes, that would be 40 megabytes. So over an internet connection, it's got to actually show those images. So it's got to pop those images up. So it will take a long time. So obviously if those images are 1 megabyte each, it's only going to take 4 megabytes of internet speed to show it. So that's why some sites bog down, because people haven't optimized their images. Generally this is done because people are using big images and then they're scaling them in, but they're still that same size. So if you can keep the images the size you want, and you know, spend a bit of time, set up a few templates, output some stuff from Canva. So that's the size I want for images in my page. That's the size I want for a background. And then just reuse those templates inside Canva. And you haven't got to think about it from that point on. And you know the images that come out are going to be the right size for you to use. So if you can keep them optimized, that's going to speed your site up. That's the #1 thing people saying it's really slow, my site. Normally it's because massive loads of images or lots of videos been put into the page. So without that further ado, we're just going to say, oh, I've got to actually pay for this if I'm going to use that. So I'm going to swap this image out for something that I don't have to pay for. But I want something with a lot of detail into it. Let's drag that in there and use that. And I'll just change that text to white. Right, okay. Well, that's already blurred as well, so maybe that's not a good one. Okay, let's try that. All right, let's just stay with this. All right, so let's download that. So I'm going to go to the download. I'm going to go into JPEG. I'm going to leave this all on, and I'm going to click download. And what will happen is that will download that into my downloads folder. So I'm going to click download, and bang, it's downloaded. So I'm going to jump into the site now. So I'm in this page, and I'm going to go and put another block into this page, an empty block, grab a block, put it down there. And inside that block, I'm just going to pretend that I would have some text on the right and left, and I would put this image in. So I'm going to go for something like that. And now I'm going to add this image. So let's go to image, let's go to upload, let's go and find that inside my download folder. There it is there. And I'm going to click open. I'm not going to crop it, I'm just going to leave it as it is. And I'm going to go upload without crop. And look at that image. It's not sharp as that, is it? You know, you can see that. And I haven't even made it as big as we want it to. Like if I do this and I drag these corners, you see it going really blurry. Now let's do something even more extreme than that. Let's use it as a background image. So let me just go in here and use it as a whole background image. So let's go to the image. There it is there. And now look at that. Looks horrendous. So how can we fix this? Well, we can easily fix it by using that magic ratio that I referred to earlier, which is 1920 by 1080. This will be a really good size for most of you. If you're a bit more advanced, you're probably thinking, well, I want mine over 2000, which is fine. If you're confident doing those things, then do it slightly bigger. But 1920 1080, it's nice to remember because you know that's going to fit for your videos and all this stuff. So let's go and do this the way it should have been done. Let's go back to Canva and let's go and create the same design. So this time I'm going to create 1920 by 1080 and I'm going to go and grab my image, which I should have somewhere. I'm going to try and grab the same photo. There it is. I'm going to drag that in there. There it is. The photo is not actually that good, but for the sake of this, it's going to be good. So let's go and put that in there, and we will see the difference between the two. And oh, that's good. And let's go and grab the text. So okay, let's change that text to white. Okay, so there we have it there. Right, so let's download that. So let's go into download, let's go into JPEG, and let's leave all that and click download. Okay, so that's going to download into my folder. There it goes, looking better JPEG. Let's jump back into the site and let's go and do a duplicate of this block so you can see the difference. So let's do a duplicate there. Let's go in there and let's upload this new image. So I'm going to come into here, I'm going to go upload image. We're going to choose the better image. There it is. Upload without crop. And bang. So looking better, and this one's going to make the big difference when I change this one over. So, and there we go. So let me put a tint over this just so it's knocked back a bit, like that. And so straight away you can see that that's better. So let me save that and preview this, and you guys will see the difference on the page. So here we go down the bottom. So look, awful, and look at that, lovely and sharp. So that is what you need to do. You need to make sure, most of you guys, just make it easy for yourself. Like some of you might want square images. So if you're using square images, 1920 by 1920. If you're producing stuff for video, you're going to be doing it in HD. Well, I hope you are, because that's the standard. We don't want standard HD, we want high HD. We don't want 720 by 540. We want 1920 by 1080. Remember, you can always come down in size, but you can't come up. Now, what I'm talking about now relates to video as well, you know. So we want to be making sure that we're doing this stuff and we're working from bigger images. You guys might have taken a picture on your mobile phone, and you might have the phone set on a low resolution setting, which might output it at something like 720. So if you then use that as a full background, that might be blurred. So even with your mobile, just make sure that you are setting it on the HD settings. You've got it on the highest setting. Yeah, okay, so it takes a little bit more room up on the camera, but it means that you can then use that. You not only can you just use it for your site, but you can also use it for print. So if you've got a low resolution image and you want to print out a brochure or giveaway or something like that, or you want to use it for a t-shirt or these kind of things, you're not going to be able to do that. Or you can, but the quality is going to look like that on the t-shirt as opposed to that. All right, and that's the big difference. We want to be working bigger to smaller. When I produce videos or media mock-ups, I always work to about 3 to 4 times. If I'm doing animation, 3D animations, I work 4 to 6 times the actual size that is needed by the client. So these are much, much bigger file sizes, but it means that the client can take that video and they can reduce it down. So they can do a very low version. They can also keep the really high version. It'll never be as high as the original. So you want to be working in the high end, and then you've got the ability to use it for so many different things, and also to resize it so that it's small as well. So you've got all this control over it when you're actually working at a bigger size. So this is a really key point to you guys having problems with any of your images looking blurry or grainy like you saw there. It's a huge thing. Have a look at your images, see how good a quality they are, and then you'll make that decision. I actually did a conversion from WordPress to Zenler, and I did it for Mimi Quick, and she had a video of, she had a photograph of herself. She was cut out and she was put on the background, and it's a really nice photo. The problem was that the photo was really low res, so what happened is it looked blurry, and even though it was a nice photo, it was just enlarged and it was blurry, and it doesn't look very good. The rest of the site looked amazing. So one thing like that can make your site look very unprofessional for the sake of a bit of a better quality image. So this is what I'm trying to get across to you. Remember, anything to take away from this, 1920 by 1080. Okay, just stick with that size, that 1920. The width is the most important thing. Okay, and then it will work in your site and you'll get this quality of image. We do have this come up in Facebook quite a lot. So, right, okay, so this is a Zen pop-up for today. This is what I've done for you now. And the reason that this video has been done is because I want to break into doing another Zen pop-up on Camtasia. So Camtasia 2022. So we're going to be doing another Zen pop-up, and I'm going to be talking about how you can put a video together. People have this illusion that creating videos is really hard and complicated. It's so easy. It's so easy, some of this stuff. I mean, it depends how far you go. If you're doing visual effects and think blowing up a building and you know, using lots of different filters and compositing things together, then yes, of course, it's very complicated. But if we're doing videos for courses, we're going to keep them nice and simple. So I'm going to be showing you just how quick you can just go in and edit a video. I'm going to be showing you how to do it in Camtasia. So that's a Zen pop-up. It's going to pop up. It's going to be the next pop-up that pops up at some point. But this is about resolution. So try and take this information away. Try to utilize it. Have a look at your site. Have a look at the quality of your images. Something people do all the time is they stretch the images inside. I showed you quickly how I did it in there, and this is something that you shouldn't do. So the actual image size is what, sort of that big, and people grab the little handles and go, ah, there you go. And that's the problem. They're making it bigger than it actually is. When it's actually that size, they're going, ah, do it that big. And then it all goes blurry. So even with this, I wouldn't do that. I can come down in size and not lose the resolution, but if I made it really, really, really big, the same thing would happen as has happened in there. So these are the same outputted images at different sizes, and you can see the quality difference between the two. So this is such a huge thing. It's such a huge thing, and really just try to do this. Another little top tip, make sure that you're putting live text in there. You're actually using text. Don't put the text in the images themselves unless you really have to. All right, because when you scale these things down, they can look a bit, they can go a bit weird, or they just don't resize properly. They just keep getting smaller with stuff, and it doesn't look very good. So if I just share my screen again, you can see I'm let me just show you here. So if I go to the page and I just go to inspector, I'm going to put this as if it was on a mobile. So you see how that's getting small. If you look at the text up here, nice and big, but see how small this is getting. And if I go to a different device, so you can see it's getting bigger there. But if I went down even smaller, you know, it gets smaller, it goes in size. It doesn't have this size. This kind of sizes up as you do things. Do you see? It does a line break. You don't get that with text inside an image. So this is what we do. We try and use live text inside there. The other benefit of live text inside a page means that your search engines can look at it and read what it says. It cannot read what it says on an image. Okay, now you can put things like alt tags in images, of course, and that can make it easier. So if I wanted to put an alt tag on this image, I click in here, go to settings, and then I would go down to the alt tag and I go looking better, and that would help it, but you're never going to get a better result than you would if you put live text into a page like this. Okay, so that's my second kind of tip on this. So make sure start in 1920 1080 and you guys will be set. I can't see any comments come in, so I can't answer anything. So I am going to check out now with this Zen pop-up.